Just remember.
What was that?
The time is 7:00 p.m. The date is October 6, 2022. This Jervis City Council meeting is now called to order. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. Welcome, Zoom members. Thank you for coming. Denise, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Gillen.
Present.
Council President Mickey Wagner.
Present.
Councilor Foreman. Present. Councilor Barge.
Present.
Councilor Harvey.
Here.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Please excuse absence.
Thank you.
Okay, announcements and additions. I don't have any additions or announcements. Does any council have announcements or additions? Not hearing any, we'll move on to public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Per person with the optional 2 minutes for council questions and answers. If you wish to address council, please come forward to the podium and identify yourself with the record. If you're comfortable giving your address, you can do that. If not, you can put it in writing and give it to Denise, please. And I'm gonna get my timer out, so you can hold on a moment. Whoever wants to can step up. Yeah. No, it's broke.
That's terrible. I don't know that.
There. All right on. Sorry, women's first got a dig. Okay, I'll let you say your name and then I'll start when you start speaking.
My name is Teresa Diaz,
Yeah, okay, are you comfortable giving your address?
923 Mahan Loop.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, in 2020, I received a ticket for a vehicle parked in my yard because I'm not able to move my vehicles on the street every 72 hours. Just don't have the capability to do that. This is what I submitted as per requested. I was granted 1 parking spot out of 3 that I requested. Came back to the council, requested further additional parking on my property. After several council meetings, Maddie was to be sent to the city attorney to have the ordinances changed. I came to last month's meeting to ask for a progress report, and I was told that the results had already been sent to me. I then received a copy of the original approval of the 1 parking space, the exact duplicate copy of what I had received in April of 2021, which started this whole process. I went through all of the city hall. I'm so upset, sorry. I went through all of the city hall documents, and I find that the city manager said in the March meeting that she was going to speak to the city planner because it took a different process to get those ordinances changed. And nothing since then has been, other than a couple of times where the mayor has asked for a progress report on the situation, nothing. I called the city planner. I asked if the city manager had talked to her, and she said, she didn't answer that question. She said that the council has to file a formal motion to initiate legislation amendment to change the development codes for yard parking. So what I'm here today to ask you to do that, although I think it's more like an addition to my property, like to my house, than asking to let me park in my yard. I'm not asking to park in my yard. I'm asking to put in additional parking, change the structure of my driveway, whatever you want to call it. I want to put down permanent parking on my property so that I'm not getting ticketed on the street because I don't have the ability to move my vehicle every 72 hours. I'm frustrated. I need help.
Are you done?
Thank you.
Okay.
If you want to see any of this, I've printed.
I don't remember.
This is my original response. This is what I received in April, an exact copy of what I started this process with over a year ago. And this is what I printed from the website on page 35, where she notes that she's going to talk to the city planner.
Once you step.
So I can speak these.
I'd like them back. They're my original copies.
So, maybe
Go
I'd like
ahead.
to ask the chief, I'm not sure if it's, so I'm. Now, so she says she's getting a ticket for being there for more than 72 hours. So what are the rules over there? Are all the streets over there the same way? You can only park there for a certain amount of time, and then if you don't believe it's ticket.
John, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Did you hear me, chief?
Yeah,
So I'm just not sure about that. What is?
yeah, the rule is 72 hours, you have to move the vehicle. Generally, we give a warning, and then we issue a citation if the vehicle hasn't been moved. Other times, if this vehicle's been sitting there for a period of time, like we have a complaint, and we'll watch it for 72 hours, it hasn't moved. The other option is to put a towing tag on it, saying in 5 days it will be towed if it's not moved. And generally, we try to contact the registered owner of the vehicle. I don't think it's appropriate in the public forum to go maybe over the details because there's pending court regarding this issue. And so, but that's our policy.
Okay, now, so what I'm wondering is, if I park my car on any street in this town, it can only be there for 72 hours.
Technically correct.
City or county.
Well, it'd have to be city because. Right,
Generally, it's the vehicles that, the street sweeper goes around, you can see a line, a neighbor calls in, there's flat tires, what the officers notices are a significant time that the car's been there, that then generally remove that. And generally, we try to give a warning ahead of time. contact the owner, let them know, and then if that doesn't work, then we issue a citation or we go the tag to the route.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because myself, I have noticed some cars in town that have been parked in the same spot for a very long time, more than 3 days. And do you usually put a sticker on them?
That's the option. Officer could issue a warning and then come back if they have vehicle less than then issue a citation,
Right.
or put a sticker on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, well.
And I don't know if you had a chance to look at my report. We'll cover some of that as far as the amount of ordinances that we investigated here.
Okay, that's good.
It's actually quite a lot.
Okay. So, okay, so obviously it seems like we have some sort of a problem here. So I'm thinking, and I'm hoping that Susie, can you hear me, Susie? Okay, so it seems like there's a problem here and I think we need to get on this and take care of it. I mean, you guys agree?
What do you mean by take care of it?
Well, we need to either change the ordinances and do what we say we're gonna do, or, if we're not gonna do that, then council needs to take care of business.
Well, if I may, as I explained to the council, I think it was in April when we took care of some other ordinance changes. The yard parking is in the city's development code. And that is, it goes through a different process. It's a legislative amendment, which requires public notice, just lots of time and money. So what we typically do is keep a list of those kinds of changes that need to be made. And when there's enough to justify the cost and the time, then I work with Holly to get those changes going. And so it is on the list. And I did explain that to the council in April.
But did you explain it to Ms. Diaz? You sent her the same letter, it looks like.
No, I came in last month to the meeting and it was said that it was resolved, that I was told there was a resolution, that I had been notified that there was a resolution. No.
I did not send a letter about a resolution.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and move forward with this and,
I have a comment.
just one moment, please. I'm gonna move forward with this and, I think that we can talk about this at, another time, John. Diana?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
We can't
because she
change
did come and try to do something correct, and obviously there's a discrepancy here, so let's talk about it amongst, I don't even know how to handle it.
We can have a workshop.
yeah. So Susie, it's on the list. Can you give me an idea how many you need on the list before you can take action?
Well, Holly is there, so I don't know if there's a number that we assign to it.
Can you give
I
me a
don't know.
Is there a cost? Do you have an idea of a cost if you have to do public announcements and so forth, what it costs to make that happen? What does it cost us to make that happen?
Yeah, to advertise it in the paper can be anywhere between $150 and $200. And then the cost of Holly's time. And then it would also require legal review from our city attorneys, which is about $250 an hour.
So $1,000 or less is probably a good estimate, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say because I don't know how much time. It just depends on what kind of changes you want to make and all that. But it's hard to estimate even a ballpark cost, but that's what all is involved in it.
Are there others on the list that also are pursuing parking? Or is there only one?
These are not tied to individuals. This is just changes to the code, to the city's code that would apply to anybody living in the city.
Okay, so do we have 1 or 2 or 10 or?
Well, if I may, that whole area where she lives is burdened with parking problems. We hear it all the time on the street at least. It's burdened. I think it would be worth maybe looking at.
So what I'm trying to establish is the burden of cost versus resolution. So that's what I'm trying to get for an answer, so that we have as council the opportunity to decide it's cost prohibitive because it's $10,000, or is it something that we can finance and get done so we can move on with the issue for this constituent. That's what I'm trying to get.
Oh, no, and that's fine. How about we table it and we put it on, we make a work, we put it on November to decide a date for a workshop, because I believe, I don't know, council, can I get a consensus that this area is a problem for us and that where Miss Diaz lives, there is parking problems going on late. These people are cramped in there, and if we can find a solution, I think we should try. I'm not promising anything, but I think we should at least look at it.
I can agree with that.
Diana?
We definitely need to take a look. Somebody's got a problem there. I think we need to deal with it.
Yeah, Nikki?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, so I know that this happens in a lot of the streets. We have the issue as well. So in my opinion, yes, we can table it for the moment as long as Ms. Diaz can, give us a little more time. I know that you've waited for quite a while, and that I can imagine is very frustrating. But I think if we can go through the city and see, because Mahan Loop is tight, there's a lot of other streets that are the same way. So if we can go through and check all of them, we can handle this all at once instead of going street by street. Does
yeah,
that make
that's what I
sense?
just, yeah, that's what I thought. John?
So in this case, we have a person that is being ticketed. Is there some way that we can stop the tickets until we can deal with this and take care of the problem? Instead of just keep writing tickets.
Well, I have a question. Is there a reason that you can't move the vehicles every 72 hours?
Yeah, because I'm a single
Okay.
person who works.
Okay, the focus needs to stay here. We have a rule of procedure. This is a personal thing. It's not a topic that I'm asking for input after. I will let you speak.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and if you want to talk to Ms. Diaz about her circumstances, maybe after would be more appropriate, because we have a big agenda tonight.
Probably not. That's
But
all
we
here.
can't get your guys' dialogue going on out there. We need to stay focused,
Got it.
please. Thank you.
I just want to add that my vehicle is registered for me, licensed, titled, and insured. Runs, starts, drives, moves on a regular basis whenever I need to drive that truck.
Okay, so for tonight, the council has given consensus that we're gonna go ahead, table this to November where we will make a date for it. And I know that's a long process, but then everybody can do their homework and what they want to look into, what their thoughts are, and we can talk to some and maybe go out and talk to the neighbors or something, okay? Now, this, Maelstrom, I did say I'll give you 1 minute, please, but I'd like it to be addressed to the council, not to Ms. Diaz. If it's a Ms. Diaz question, could you talk to her at another time?
I like to speak on different matters, but regarding this issue, because it's an issue that I've experienced also, but being that I'm disabled, I would think that she would need to go see her doctor and say that either she's disabled or whatever it is, with the reason that she can't go.
That's what she-
Okay, all right, this discussion's off topic. Point of order, let's get moving on, please. Denise, do you need some
I
clarification?
do, just to paraphrase, that you want to move the discussion to the November meeting to then discuss a workshop?
Correct.
Thank you.
That is correct.
What about the bill?
Okay. Mom, I don't want to bang the gavel, but we're moving it on. We are going to move on. Okay, so if there's someone else that has public comment, please come forward. Or John?
I didn't give an answer to my question.
Oh,
I didn't
sorry.
give an answer to that. Bill, what can we do, chief? Can we do something to tell the, because we agree we have a problem. So
What are you asking the police to do?
I'm asking you if we can hold off on these tickets on their own time until we can deal with this.
Is that the consensus of the council that you want to direct the operations of enforcement of codes to subside immediately at this meeting. I don't know if you want to get into that realm.
Well, if it was
Wait.
anything else, I would say the same thing. Until the council can deal with it, because it seems to be a problem, I think that we should be able to allow that to take place.
Yeah, let me ponder that,
Well,
talk to Susie about it.
okay,
and
let's
maybe-
get a consensus from council on this as well. You did mention consensus that the council would like to maybe think about doing that. You asked for that, Chief. Let's just take the consensus. Pam? Yes or no?
No,
Diana?
I'm fine with holding off funding.
John?
Yes.
Mickey?
I think we should, I mean, as much as Ms. Diaz has gone through and such, I think we do need to talk about it a little bit more and go through some sort of a process before we just stop.
Okay, thank you. The
No.
consensus is they would like it to stop. Now, I would like to move on from this. Has everybody's questions been answered?
Could I get some clarification on what that was?
The consensus was Ms. Diaz has approached the council for relief. And the council is granting that relief on giving her tickets until we can finally hear it, because she's been through a lot waiting and there's been some discrepancies she's pointed out. So the council's given consensus that we will hold off on ticketing her.
So is that just applies to her?
She's come for relief. Susie,
Hey.
go ahead.
Well, Mickey, go ahead. You got your hand up for me.
I'm sorry, just so I can clarify, I was with Pam in that we need to discuss this more before we make a decision to stop the tickets. Because if this is happening to other people potentially, you're gonna have a big
Okay,
issue.
so then we have a tie on that. Is that right? We
Yes,
go
ma'am.
back to that. We had 2 yeses and 2 nos. Is that right?
Yes,
I'm going to say that unless it's breaking a law, and you can show me that, I think we should hold off because she's come before council to ask for relief. She has been here for over 1.5 years trying to do the right thing. So yes.
Mayor, just because you stated that unless it's against the law, I will run it by the city attorney just to double check that this is
Oh, please
okay.
do, Susie. I wouldn't want to be out of, I wouldn't want to be in the wrong on this. I'm trying
Right.
to do the right thing. So yes, please do call them and find out what the legalities of it are. And if we are able to grant her relief, because she's asked for it, I'd like to. Or if the
Okay.
council has- Okay, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, everybody gets a free thing in there? I mean, I'm just.
Do you have a problem, Joe?
Yes, I just wondering. if-
What is your problem? And we'll take it up right now. If you have a problem, bring it up to us and we'll take it up. No, but you're trying to make something that is
Point of
not.
order, Mr. Reese, if you'd like to come to public comment and comment to it, that's fine. You get 3 minutes, but until then, we're moving on. This council needs to move forward with our agenda. We have other people here tonight. Personal arguments and beliefs should stay out of the chambers. Thank you.
Just a question, that's all.
Okay,
And
thank
then the
you.
ballot.
Just a question.
Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Jenny Woodson. I live at 466th Street. I have lived in Jervis for 25 years. I started out in the new development that they built in 97. We had issues with people speeding on, is it Black Oak? That's the
Black
name?
Walnut.
Black Walnut, and they put in speed bumps. At that time, the Catholic school requested speed bumps too, because it was actually a council member who was speeding at that time, 25 years ago, past their school. And I believe I was told that they paid to have those put in themselves. I now live on 6th Street, which we refer to as the local drag strip. There's no patrols in the morning when people are going to work. I'm surprised they can stop when they hit the stop sign as they're coming from down toward Ivy. There's motorcyclists that hit the gas when they first turn on to our street, and they're probably going 70 miles an hour by the time they're halfway down. Cars, trucks, everybody does the same thing. It's happening on Fifth Street. What happened is when they put the bumps in front of the Catholic Church, everybody that lives down there comes down our street, and then including the people dropping their kids off, so that they can go faster without hitting the bumps. And I'm requesting that we look at putting the speed bumps on both Fifth and Sixth to stop this. I personally have had 2 cats hit and killed. And we have a lot of children on that street that are starting to get to the age where they're riding their bikes and their trikes. And it's just ridiculous how fast they go, and I've never seen any patrols on there. All you need to do is put an officer on one of the cross streets like Burr and have them sit there in the morning while people are going to work, or in the afternoon while they're coming home, and watch how fast they go. Thank you.
Jenny, what's your name?
Jenny.
Jenny, thank you. Thanks for doing it.
Well, I did just want to say too, because when they did them over there 20 some years ago, they said, well, what about our liability? The liability is you put in, and there was a man on the council at that time who said he worked for the city of Portland, and there is no liability. You put in a traffic change, and it's the responsibility of the person driving on the road to become aware of the traffic change.
Are you talking about the knowing that the speed bump is there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's just like if they put up a new stop sign, they put a thing, traffic change ahead. If you don't stop, it's on you. It's not on whoever put the sign up.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know what, you're welcome, and there is a school in that area, so patrols would be a good idea, wouldn't it?
I think so. I think when you first start out, I think you're gonna get a lot of revenue from speeders because it happens. It doesn't just happen occasionally. It's every day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for coming.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody knows me. I'm Tilda Flores,
Okay.
and I've lived here for 21 years. And I did run for 2020 and I didn't win. And the reason I'm here is because I feel that Jervis needs to get fixed. The city of Jervis needs an upgrade, needs to look better than it does right now. And also the people that are coming in tonight with the problems that I'm hearing about. I feel that, yes, we do need to resolve some of these issues that are going on. You know, everything needs to get more ordinance, you know. We need to work together. Look, guys, I've seen you guys all work really, really hard, people, and you too, Chief, who's really good at working. And I feel that you guys, I don't know, we just need change. You know, change is always good. You know, that's what I feel. And that's why I'm here. I'm just because I want to make a change, have a change, you know, change of things that are happening and try to resolve them. So
Is that it?
yeah.
Well, then, thank you for coming in. I love that you love your community. And
I love
think that a
Jervis.
whole bunch of people are running because they want things
Yeah,
that are good.
They want
And win or lose, I think we should
No.
all stay engaged in helping with that change. I
No,
believe
like-
it too.
like
Yeah.
I've seen you on the street and I told you, I love Jervis, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. You know, we have to be that way. If we're not that way, we're just gonna fall apart.
Well, of
You know,
course.
just like fighting and stuff, that's not respecting each other. And I feel that we need to start teaching our children to have more respect for each other. And us adults put the roll call of respect
Right.
back into adults.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you for
Well,
coming
thank
in.
you so much.
Does anybody else have comments?
I like to speak.
Okay, come on up. I'll get the timer going. Welcome, Grimbo.
Again, if I go over the timer, I am at the requesting ADA
I'll give you
accommodation.
4 minutes.
Thank you very much. So everybody or who doesn't know me, my name is Chriselle Malmstrom. I live at 960. I know that was typed wrong
Wait, wait.
before. 960 Winfield Street Northeast, Jervis, Oregon, 972026. So, shame on you, I don't know you, but you said it was discriminatory. I'm actually fighting for the same thing. I'm wanting a disability parking spot in front of my home, and I have not been able to get that, so it was not discriminatory. And if you're getting a pass.
Okay, I know it's public comment, but it's not a time to argue with other people. Please stay focused and speak
I
to
will,
the
you're
council.
eating at my time. So anyway, so I'm fighting for the same thing, and I conversated with council member here Foreman. And she had said that she would look into it, and it's been over 2 months, so I want to see what results you have. And again, if this lady's getting a pass, and I'd like a pass, and this gentleman here looks like he's disabled as well. Anybody who is in our community who is disabled, they should get a pass if this lady approved a pass to move the vehicles every 72 hours, as I have to do. And the tinted windows, I disagree with that just because of the cost for the members here wanting the side windows tinted. I maybe disagree with that on the cost. And then also the chicken thing. Let's deal with the problems we have now, which is cats and other things, rodents. And also lastly, I am running for mayor again, and we are having a meet and greet at the elementary school gym, October 17th at 7 p.m. And the public is welcome.
October 17th or 18th?
I believe it's the 18th, okay, I'm sorry, and the 18th at 7 p.m. So again, I'd like to direct my questions to Council Member Pamela Foreman and see where she's at with that disability conversation that we discussed.
So I did talk to John, and the answer from John was no different than what you had already heard, so there didn't seem to be a reason to come back. I have nothing new to add.
And you didn't find it necessary to let me know,
I have nothing new to add because the answer you already had.
but you came to my home and requested that I conversate with you, and that was one of my major concerns. You didn't find it as a council member
So I was not-
appropriate to come tell me that your answer was the same answer as before.
And I did
Okay.
want to comment.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Pardon me.
Okay, so. Anybody else tonight want to come to public comment? Junior, come on down. I'm so proud of him too. Look at him go. This is a great stride.
I'm JR. I live in 6th Street. Okay. The bumps. We need cops. But you know, I agree, the cops been showing up on my stop sign. I see him in the morning. In the afternoon, but they're not parked at this one in the morning, they're stopped right there. But in the afternoon, they're parked at that new place or putting a new driveway. It doesn't bother me. You know, I'm disabled and all that stuff, but I don't feel disabled, you know. Yeah, I understand, you know, the issues and all that stuff. But, you know, I understand the person needs more room, but that place where she lives is too crowded, too many cars, all that. There has to be a way where the people can work with the city. It's not the city to say, well, you know what, this is what we're gonna do. You know, like right now, all of us are here. You know, agree on something and say, this is what we're gonna do. And, you know, don't stall, you know, get it done. Tell the people, okay, we did it, boom. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for coming in.
Mhm.
And I do believe that some things are situational, like you pointed out where she lives. There is a hardship for many. And people ask for relief, like they asked for extra time to speak, so they were granted it. They asked for, you know, it's on the ask and by council majority, there's a vote for that. So there's a process. She's gone through some process. So there's some history there. So situational. I think, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you know, but
Okay, I just want to be clear on what you were speaking about. So we grant certain things to people who ask for such relief
yeah.
and not others, right? Okay, go ahead.
And the other point being that, now Joe made a statement, he wanted everybody to get the same break. And that would be fine if you had a problem, and also, this lady here made the same statement. How long have you been trying to get that change? She's been on it for over, what, 2 years? Almost 2 years. That's why I feel that we should hold off for a little bit until we can get it taken care of. Either we're gonna let it go or we're not.
So
We're
your,
not
so
gonna
your opinion
argue.
matters more than a medical assumption.
No, has nothing to do with that. That's not what I'm talking about.
You're saying
What I'm saying is that she's been after this for a couple of years. It's time for the council to do something.
Mayor, may I say something?
Point of order. We're gonna move on now. Conversation over.
May I say something?
Briefly.
Okay,
Go ahead.
after giving it a little bit of thought, I think that the council should reconsider the action that you took in giving Ms. Diaz relief. And the reason is, I think you're setting the precedence. Ms. Maelstrom provided a great example. You know, Tess Diaz was issued a ticket. We're not going to talk about it now. It's not the proper time. But it's technically in the hands of the municipal court. And it's up to the judge to hear Tess's testimony and decide on if she wants to give her relief or not. But
Okay,
moving
Susie,
forward,
I'll
and the
stop
way,
you there
listen,
and-
can I finish, please? But moving forward, what I was hearing Counselor Harvey say is to maybe not issue tickets until the council has had a chance to look at the parking situation and come up with a solution. But I do think the council should reconsider giving relief on a ticket that's already been issued.
We've never, Susie, I'll address that. We did not state or take a consensus to remove any tickets. That is nothing we should ever touch. We were saying from here forward, just to clarify. So I'm sorry for interrupting you, but no, you're right. We were not talking about tickets that are already issued. So-
Okay, that's not how I understood it, and it's
Okay,
obvious
so
that's
to
not how it was
clarify-
understood by the audience.
Well, to clarify, how many in the audience understood it? There's several hands raised, so let's just clarify that to what Susie, how Susie articulated it was perfect. Thank you. Now,
Thank you.
Denise,
Mayor Dillon, I need JR's last name for the record, and if you don't want to state your name in public, can I give you a sticky or your address?
I won't give my address. My name is
That's okay.
Lopez.
Lopez,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
okay, so you guys, I want to move on tonight. We do have an agenda to get to. So if we could, see if there's any more public comment. Not seeing any. I'm gonna move on to the consent calendar. Consent calendar A, minutes of September 1st, 2022, regular session. The bills list for August 23rd through September 22nd, 2022. C, treasury report for period ending September 27th, 2022. The requested action would be motion to approve the October 6th, 2022 consent calendar as presented. But I'd like to know if there's any questions from council on any of it. Okay, so the requested action would be a motion to approve the October 6th, 2022 consent calendar as presented. Denise, did you have a question? Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 6th, 2022 consent calendar as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion from council? Anybody else?
Denise will need a copy of those because they were entered into the record for recording.
These are all city.
They were introduced into the record. The city recorder will need to make copies for the record, just so you know.
Okay, Well, it looked like they're all city.
I can make copies of.
Yeah, why don't you
From
do
the
that?
city website and whatnot.
Okay. So I want to get back to, we second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. And now I would like to welcome our Creighton Helms from the Jervis School District. I believe, and I don't want to be misquoted, I believe he's a principal of one of the buildings. He is going to do a presentation for us on the school health grant initiative. Welcome, Creighton.
You know if my slides are gonna be projected or should I just talk through them?
I can help you through it. You just let me know.
Absolutely. So thank you, City Council, for giving me a few minutes. My name is Dr. Creighton Helms, formerly a principal in the school district. I'm now the Director of Student Services and Federal Programs for the Jervis School District. I appreciate the time that I've been given. What I would like to be able to share with the council members and then by proxy, the community at large, is a school-based health grant that we received. And I'd like to be able to walk through the council what that means. I've made a number of Facebook posts. We posted on the school website. We've advertised it. But I want to offer up the opportunity to share some things about it, answer any questions that anybody may have, and then continue to offer up my contact information if anybody would like to follow up with me about it. Approximately January of this calendar year, Jervis School District was awarded a 2-year $90,000 grant. That grant, if we wanted to, I just say slides.
Go ahead and let me know.
There we go. This is a $90,000 2-year grant, and what it does, it allows us as a school district to partner with the community to assess what the health needs are, not just of students, not just those that are connected immediately to the district, but to the community at large. It allows us, and it's not just physical health, it is mental health, it's behavioral health, it's a whole health perspective evaluation. And so we were awarded that $90,000. The process started in the spring. It expires around September of 2023, and it's broken down into 2 phases, essentially phase 1, which exhausts at the end of this calendar year, and then phase 2, which is January of 23 until September of 23. Slide. What is a needs assessment? So what are we doing in this phase 1 process? What we are doing is a systematic way of attempting to identify what health needs are within the student body, in the population of the district, as well as the community at large. We have done surveys. So as of, I've released links through the school website, through Facebook, the community Facebook pages. We had surveys available at the open house back in late August. As of right now, we've received about 145 community Facebook or community survey responses, which for our district is actually a relatively high number of responses. So we've yielded some really good data from that particular survey. That survey continues to be ongoing. On Tuesday, when the elementary school had an arts night, we had Chromebooks that were out for people to take surveys, and if they were taking it for the first time, they got a Starbucks gift card. So we're doing our best to incentivize people. Hey, give us some information, I'll give you a mocha. We had a couple of information nights. Let me go back real quick, sorry, that was an inadvertent. We had a couple of information nights. Again, those were advertised for people to come and just question and answer sessions. Here's some information about what this grant is, and then just kind of gathering information that way. I've recently advertised the opportunity for people to participate on focus groups. So these would be small numbers of people that would get together for an hour or two, some very directed questions, gathering information, catering Panera, et cetera, et cetera. Interviews, we're going through that process right now. And so essentially it's a very comprehensive way to gather data, not just with the students, not just within the district, but across the community. What are the health needs that the end result of this process may be able to yield to better serve the community? Slide. It's really important because it allows us, we do not want to drive this process in a biased way to say the district believes that we're going to take this money and build up this thing and not receive feedback from the community. We think that it's really important to hear from the community. What does the community want? Not just necessarily something that would serve a community member, because there are mechanisms from the end result of this grant that can serve community members in a health-based way that may not even have students associated with the district. Maybe an adult that has kids that have long since gone, maybe an adult that doesn't have kids or never went through this district but still has health needs. There are mechanisms at the end of this grant that may very well serve those community members as well. But what may yield from this, we want to make sure the community has input so we can hear from you, the Jervis community. And so what is being provided answers that call. And there's a wide variety of different things we can do. And so we want to make sure that what we are doing is incredibly transparent. And so if people have concerns about this process of what may come from it, they are confident that we have heard their concerns and we have evaluated those concerns. If people have requests, that they know that those requests have played into the overall decision making, and if we can accommodate them, that we absolutely are doing everything we can to do so. So what we are attempting to do is we're going through these learning objectives, what health issues are students facing, things like this. I'll give you some really quick statistics so you can understand why this is important. And this is applicable for Jervis School District students. 1 out of 5 report not being in good or better health. Close to 10% of our students report, yes.
Could you go back and say that again? What was 1 out of 5?
1 out of 5 of our students self-report not being in good or better health. So when they're asked, when they're self-reporting their data, 1 out of 5 are saying, I'm not in good health.
Kids.
Yeah, self-report. Yeah, students are self-reporting that. Almost 10%, around 7 to 8% of our students report having physical health care needs that are not met. And that is a percentage that is above state average. 48% of our students have reported feeling depressed, stressed, or anxious, and that makes them hard to do their best at school. 12% of Jervis students have self-reported considering or seriously considering attempting suicide. Now, it's not a causation, but it is a correlation. 37.7% of our economically disadvantaged students in the Jervis School District are chronically absent. And that is 10% higher than the state average for districts of our ilk. What that tells us, and we know this by correlation, is that the whole child, their academic health, their mental health, their physical health, their behavioral health, directly impacts their attendance and their ability to achieve their very best with us and then beyond us. And so the reason that I'm here is twofold, because I am wanting the community to know that this is a process that we inside the district feel is incredibly important. Our students are calling out and saying that they would appreciate services that address physical needs, mental needs, behavioral needs to a greater degree. We also know that the community at large also has health needs. The Willamette Health Council, which tracks health needs throughout all of the zip codes in the Marion and Polk County region, flags Jervis School District, or the Jervis community, as one of the zip codes with the highest needs of physical and mental and behavioral health in the general Willamette area. And so not just within our students, but across the board, something that may come from this, we are truly envisioning it as something that can address needs beyond just those that are reported by the students themselves. And so this presentation is really intended to allow the public community to know that beyond just the Facebook posts, beyond just the survey links, beyond those kind of things, that we are finding this to be an incredibly important initiative on behalf of our students to the community at large. That being said, we also are incredibly sensitive to recognize that when we are talking about physical needs and mental needs and behavioral needs of our students, that intersects with what parents want out of their children, what parents want their taught to their children and services offered to their children. And we want to be very sensitive to that, because we know that some parents say we want direct influence as to what is being taught, what is being provided. And so that's part of why there is such a call to the community to participate with us, so that we know if that is a sensitive issue for you, your family, for anybody else, that we're doing everything we can to be sensitive and to honor that. Next slide. So we are just going through data collection steps right now. We're analyzing the survey data, we're analyzing information night data, we're analyzing all of these kind of things. And the end result is that at the end of December, we will put together a package. I will present that to Superintendent Stevens and the school board to say, based on the totality of phase one, here is what we are recommending. And then that is where phase two starts, and we begin to implement that recommendation. That package that will be presented to the superintendent and to the school board will be also available to the public. I want to make sure that the public has that package so that nobody has the ability to question the process that we went through, that it's as transparent. It may not be a decision that everybody agrees with. Rarely that's the case, but I want everybody to be able to respect the fact that your voice was heard if you wanted to share your voice in this process. Next slide. And so what typically results out of this process, and this has gone through statewide, multiple districts, there's well over a couple slides, and I'll pick it up a little bit, but there are school-based health centers that are throughout the state. And there are many throughout the district, or throughout different districts throughout the whole state. One of the processes that this could yield is just amplifying our school nursing and behavioral health services model, potentially adding more nurses to the district, potentially adding more counselors to the district. But what that would end result is that nobody outside of students would be served by this end result. So if you're a community member that has physical needs, you don't have means to get to a pharmacy very conveniently, you don't have a mechanism to access a local health service provider, chronic headaches, anything like that, that end result would not support community members. It would only support students. Whereas the other mechanism, a school-based health center, it's all an initial brainstorming. And again, this process is unbiased. We're doing it as objectively as possible. But consider something out of the old Sam Brown building, someplace that's got discrete parking. It's staffed by a nurse practitioner that actually has the ability to write scripts and do referrals. Community members that aren't even attached to the district would be able to go there to receive, even if you are not insured, there is still ways to be able to provide help and support for you. And so we would maybe be able to open up a school-based health center. Even though it says school-based, it truly would be a community-based health center. So even hours of operation on a Saturday for community members to become, and there is ways to serve people. For example, again, if you don't have the means to get to a pharmacy, a nurse practitioner could write a script, we could call it in, that prescription is delivered back to Jervis, and then we could bring it right to your home. For community members that might not be ambulatory enough to go to a pharmacy at their convenience. So things like that may come out of this, incredibly important. Next slide. There's a lot of information. I'm able to provide this to anybody upon request, but there's just a lot of information on our website, the Jervis School District website, and especially through the nursing and health tab on school-based health centers, what they are not. One of the things that I want to be very transparent about is that in other districts throughout the state, this is a charged issue because there are people that see some services that may be provided by school-based health centers. It doesn't mean that every one of them provides it, but it may be an option for some because that community said, we want that service. And rumors spread and conjecture is put out there. And before you know it, it becomes something that it isn't. And so I want to just be very transparent that this has been a charged issue for districts and community in the past. And I'm trying to be as forthcoming and honest as possible so our community can avoid that. That we know there is a honest, safe mechanism to ask questions, to voice concerns, to have everything that you would like to be laid forth heard and considered. And that way there is not a place for anybody to say, this isn't for me, and yet it's still being forced upon, et cetera, et cetera. Lastly, this is just that last slide. That's just kind of a quick map to show you where school-based health centers are located all throughout the state in the year of 2021. So this is not a novel idea. This is not Jervis School District trying to enter into unfamiliar territory. You can see that all throughout the state, there are elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and districts that host these types of services for their community. And even though I am not a citizen of Jervis, I would go so far as to say that as deeply as I have fallen in love with the community over the last 6 years, that I believe that this community would benefit deeply from something like this. It doesn't mean that every one of them is exactly the same, but something that offers these types of services for our students and for our community members, I think is a great step forward to supporting people that need these kinds of services. And so last slide is just my contact information. I can be found through the school website. I can be found, come say hi, just knock on any door and ask for me and they'll point you in the right direction. And so I will, I have one, I will yield. I mean, if there's any questions about this, I'm happy to answer them real quick. And then Superintendent Stevens asked me to echo a message for her personally. And then I will be done. So is there any questions that you can answer on this?
Council, do you have any questions?
I have a
know this,
question.
But we have a member of the audience.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your name, please?
Dr. Creighton Helms.
Creighton? Yeah,
Creighton Helms.
that's who I asked.
Yep, and you got it right.
Mayor, I do have a question, please, if I may ask.
Nikki, you have the floor.
All right, hello, Crichton. I heard you when you
You're
were
echoing
saying,
real bad, Nikki. Can
Sorry.
you step away from the mic?
sorry, it's the
Go back.
computers. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, now I can barely hear you. So when you were mentioning the Sam Brown House, are you looking at, once we're able to bring that in, wanting to use part of that as like a nurse's office to be able to treat people, or, you know, not so much treat them, but be able to see them?
Sure, no, it's a great question, and that's just used as an example. But, you know, pulling on that thread, yes. So the Sam Brown building has multiple spaces that are within it because it was kind of set up as an alternative high school. So you have multiple, yes.
She is referring to the old Sam Brown house.
Oh.
You were referring to the Sam Brown school.
Yes, not the Sam Brown house, the Sam Brown school that's just adjacent to the high school in the back parking lot.
Okay, I'm sorry, I
No,
misunderstood.
no, I'm glad you said it, because what we would do theoretically, we would be able to divide up those and think of one of those rooms where we would replumb it, and we would be able to offer a shower and a washer and a dryer. Because we have a number of students that are housing insecure, that don't have access to laundry. And when you have a student that is showing up to school and they haven't bathed regularly, they have clothes that haven't been washed regularly, that affects their self. And that affects their self in a way where they're not able to access academics to their greatest degree. And so this would be a place where they would discreetly be able to go. They'd be able to take a shower in a very confidential manner behind locked doors. We'd be able to launder their clothes for them. And if that was a service that they were desiring, and if they were underage, their parents were to consent to it, but it would be a place where those kind of students would be able to address those whole child, whole self needs in a way that I think for some of our student bodies.
Well, and Crichton, also, I think another part of that with the kids and, you know, and going through this trauma, as I call it, there also comes the bullying that comes from that. So that is something that's, I mean, to offer that is huge to the kids, because you're going to be helping them to not have so much of that bullying. Oh, you smell, oh, you look dirty. You know, that's very important. And I appreciate you guys for thinking about that.
Absolutely. We'd be able to offer through a nurse practitioner, health, sports physicals. So our student athletes who want to participate in sports, but don't have the mechanism to get to a primary care physician on a regular basis to go get their physicals to participate, we'd be able to offer them on site, which is incredibly beneficial to do that. Vision screenings, health screenings. So some of our students who may need special education assistance, but they have poor vision and we're not able to parse apart, is their ability to lacking access to education, is it a vision issue, is it a cognitive issue? We'd be able to work through those in real time on site, which I would say confidently that would help a number of our families address needs that are difficult for some of our families to go out of Jervis to get those answers.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's a lot of information.
Yeah,
This
sure
is on your website, you said.
Yep, everything's
I
on
don't watch many of the pages too much.
Yeah.
I use some. but-
Sure. Yep, everything's on the school website. So Is there any other questions before I echo Danny's? Yes, yes, ma'am.
Dr. Creighton?
Yes,
Griselle Malmstrom. So my question to you is, do you have any data on the students that are needing this more than others? Like, I know some of the families come from field workers.
sure.
A lot of the kids, 15, 16, 17 are also substituting as a parent with income.
Yes.
You know, do you have any data on that? Because I know that would be very beneficial to those students.
Yes, so in advisory groups this month, grades 6 through 12, we are offering up a student survey for those students that would like to participate in it. So we can gather student data in an anonymous way.
I think it's very important to target that population also with single parents or
Yes.
the teen parents, the people that are at most risk.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I welcome you
I
to
agree.
investigate on that.
Yes. Thank you.
So any other council questions? I don't have any at this time. I'll take, I will go in and read. I have not done that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming first before you turn into some of the message, but thank you, Creighton, for
Of
coming.
course. Yep, I appreciate your time. I'll just read verbatim what Superintendent Stevens asked me to share with everybody. The district is hosting several community engagement nights, October 25th, 26th, and November 2nd, which will be in Spanish only, to further explore ideas regarding the bond projects and how to move forward. Mailings are going out all month, including specific invites to those voters living in precincts with a large voter turnout who voted no. At the joint session, both school board members and city council members discussed ways to partner together. Ms. Superintendent Stevens is asking me to ask you to personally invite at least 4 different people to attend one of those nights. She would much appreciate it. All meetings will be held at 6 p.m. We will offer tours. And she didn't write this in there, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say we'll probably offer snacks as well.
Thank you. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
And since you brought up October 18th as the meet and greet, and I believe it's only for the mayor's candidates, I was kind of confused as that, as we have some council candidates as well. October 18th date did not work for me. My son, I have an engagement, a family event. I did email that. I think most of the candidates for the mayors only seen that, but council candidates should see it. To the community, my door is open. If you want to ask me about me, set up a time. I'll come talk to you about it. Most of you know me. So my thing is, I won't be at that group meet and greet at the school, but I will be available to anyone who needs to talk to me about anything. Thank you. Thank you. You can go ahead before we move on.
Thank you, Mayor. That meeting, I did speak with the school, and those up for council positions, those candidates can also attend and ask questions and speak.
Thanks. Anybody else got anything on council before we move on? Public hearing, the site development review, Holly.
Sure. For the record, my name is Holly Byram and I work for the Midland Valley Council of Governments. My job is to serve as your contract city planner, help you understand land use applications when they arrive. This was initially scheduled as a public hearing for site development review with industrial property on 5th Street between Alder and Birch. The applicant has requested additional time, and they are requesting that tonight, instead of a staff report and public testimony, the city council make a motion to continue this public hearing to the date and time certain of Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m.
Okay, so you need a motion, Holly.
Please.
Okay, can I get Diana or John, somebody make that motion?
We're making a motion to the hearing.
To continue the public hearing to December 1st.
So I make a motion to continue the public hearing to December 1st.
One second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you, Holly, for your time and coming in. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go to old business, see activity tracker. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I did, I missed one.
Agenda on your, it's the action item, the schedule. Yeah, that's what we're talking about, not this. Pardon me, Mayor.
Okay, so schedule public hearing for November 3rd, 2022 for file vacation 2021-03 petition to vacate the public alley in block 25 down by Elm Fir 2nd and 3rd, submitted by Samuel Andrade, 563rd Street. Can I get a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to schedule the public hearing for November 3rd, 2022, file number VAC 2021-03. Petition to vacate the public alley in block 25 down by Elm Fir 2nd and 3rd, submitted by Samuel Andrade, 563rd Street.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it and the motion carries. Okay, now on to old business. The first thing is the activity tracker. I'd like to see if we could clean it up a bit and just take off some things that we know we've done, or maybe put a priority list together on it somehow. Just maybe that's something we can do in the future. Otherwise, I don't have anybody else. Okay, not hearing anything, we'll move on to the B, which is discussion on Love Inc. Water Sewer Bill Assistance Program. I had asked City Manager Margin to bring back maybe some possible, how much our city could afford. Did you have a chance to look at that, Susie? Because I didn't see anything related. I seen a Woodburn thing, but maybe I missed it. Was there an amount you thought of? Or-
Yes, I included a memo in the packet with a recommendation of maybe, if the council's agreeable, of funding $5,000. And my thought is that it would be paid out of the water and sewer funds. You know, this is revenue that would come back into the city. So if the whole $5,000 was used in that program, we'd get the money returned to us at a cost of $750. So the end cost to the city would be the $750, which would be split between the utility funds, water, sewer, and maybe storm drain, because a portion of the utility bills goes to that.
Okay. Council?
So I had a question, and I don't remember if it was in the memo or if I was reading it in the minutes from last time, because I wasn't here last time. But I think I saw something where it said like there's like 10 to 12 households per month that default. How many of those are repeat defaulters throughout the year? Does that make sense? Because they get this once a year. So how many of them continue to default?
Yeah, I don't have a hard number, but most of them are repeat customers.
Okay, so action wise, is everybody okay with the fund situation she's speaking about? Go ahead.
I think, yes, I'm fine with it. I would like to see what it's like for the first year. As we discussed the last time, I would like, if we had more funds, to do more. But I think it's a good start, and we could see how it goes for a year and readdress whether or not it's potential that we could add additional funds to it. So,
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I like that we're gonna do something, anything. We've had nothing, so I'm agreeable to anything at all at this point, because again, we've had nothing, you guys, so I'm excited. What
Yeah,
can we do
so
tonight?
I'm sorry. On page 49, I included under my recommendation, a motion for the council to consider. And I did put a copy of the agreement that Woodburn has with Love Inc. into your packets. And so the motion would be to give me authorization to move forward in working with Love Inc. on a contract that's similar to the city of Woodburn's and bring it back for council consideration.
Can I get that motion?
yeah, so I move to authorize the city manager to work with Love Inc. on drafting contract a contract for city council review and approval to provide utility billing assistance for Jervis residents.
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 The ayes have it, and the motion carries, and I want to thank the council and for the citizens. Go ahead, John.
Now, so the one that you put in, Susie, that's just for us to look at. That's not what we're going by, right?
Yeah. I'll
So
use
this
that
is-
as a model to
Yeah.
build one for Jervis, and then you guys will have a chance to review it. I'll bring it back to the November council meeting.
The only reason I asked is because it states in there $15,000 rather than 5.
Oh, yeah, it would be, in that motion, you might want to clarify, say $5,000. But yeah, it would be for the 5,000, not 15.
Okay, can I get a clarifying motion,
So
please?
let me just go back to it. So for clarifying, authorize the city manager to work with Loving on drafting a contract of $5,000 for city council review and approval to provide utility billing assistance for Jervis residents.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Again, thank you. As far as Love Inc. goes, Rosetta reached out to me on another topic. I and some others took a suicide prevention class at the school. And though we had technical difficulties, I think the information was really good. And she has asked if council would be interested in facilitating that for the community, another workshop on that. And I would like to, if you would, consider that, because I think what we just heard from the school person, that kids are having issues. Again, bolstering our resources for our people is very important. So how do you guys feel about that?
I think it'd be great. It would be nice if it was after work hours.
Yes.
That's my challenge with this one.
Or on a Saturday, perhaps?
Saturday, so that we have other options for that.
Okay. Think you have something?
Yeah, I agree, especially with the percentage of students that have reported issues with, potential suicide attempts. I think it's really important to reach out to all of our families right now and to offer that education to, be mindful and watch our kids and, try to make sure that we look for changes and we ask questions. If we see something, we say something. So I'm definitely 100% for that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So a consensus that we will ask Rosetta to come. Do we need to officiate that with a vote, or can we just get a consensus that I'll call her and see what date she has available? Or Susie, you and I can call her, or when maybe you're speaking about this other issue, could you touch base with her? About dates to facilitate that?
Yeah, when I contact her about the utility billing, I can let her know your interest with this and get some possible dates from her and explain that we'd like some Saturday dates or evening.
Right, and for myself, just a little heads up, until like late November, my schedule is very packed. So it would need to be farther out than that, please.
Okay, yeah, and
I
we're
would
getting
like to
into the
leave-
holidays and it can be a little challenging to schedule meetings, but we'll do our best.
Or after the first of the year, but just so we have it on the radar.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. So that can, go ahead, Denise.
So the consensus is to have Susie get in touch with Rosetta to come
Facilitate
the suicide prevention meeting.
for the community.
Okay.
We would have to talk about how we can get that message out and things, and maybe do a touch base on that.
And bring back dates. Is that what we?
Win for the community. Yay. Okay, so, that being said, let's move on. Discussion on speed sign data. Wow, I got nothing. It confused the heck out of me, but I'll let the council ask any questions at this time.
Is this just the raw data that you pull off the signs?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was trying to figure out. I'm like, what am I looking at?
Broken down per sign, otherwise.
Okay.
This is one of the same reports that was provided in your packet last month. I wasn't clear on the discussion that you wanted to have at this meeting, but the council did ask for a discussion at this meeting. So I just provided one report because each report for each sign is 30+ pages, and I didn't want to put 120 pages of this data in the packets.
Pam, you have the floor.
So, looking at making a data analysis of this is difficult because, as John mentioned the last time, it doesn't say if they got to 5 feet after the sign. So, junk data in, junk data out kind of is the problem here. I think it could be worth reviewing the timeframes that seem to be the higher incidences, just as an aggregate piece of information, rather than to dive into it and look and say that perhaps those timeframes that have the higher incidences are the ones that we can target for our officers to look into. The way the data is now, because we don't have anything further to judge as far as whether because I'll be 25 or 26 and then it's 25. So it's difficult from just the aggregate data to give us that.
And just as a note, Marion County on their speed signs, they do not put them up permanent. They move them around because they've done their studies and says after a while, it might as well be a flashing light.
Right, I
that
agree.
People ignore it. So the only real solution is if the council wanted to, if you really wanted to get speeders, you'd have to have photo cameras that would actually issue a ticket the minute they hit it.
Right, and we have had that discussion before about photo enforcement, and particularly when the discussion of Amazon came up. I think there's value in that. I think we came up with some kind of a challenge, if I'm not mistaken, Chief, about
Yeah, there's a lot
the
of.
criteria.
We cannot use speed cameras in Jervis. You'd have to talk to your legislatures. There's a 2023 session coming up to include the cities that are include Jervis, or specific cities listed that can have those cameras. Jervis is not one of those, so we're not allowed to have one.
Anybody else? Nikki? Oh, wait,
Sorry.
Nikki had her hand up first. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
so the question I have, and I guess I'm a little confused too, is we were talking about, when we have the highest number of people that are coming in and speeding. And I'm looking at these pages and you can see the higher numbers. And boy, it seems like it goes literally from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until at least 20:30, at least 8:30. Sorry, I was military time. And then it seems to go down a little bit. Is that pretty close, Chief, to what it's trying to say, or am I completely off?
No, I think it's a reasonable assumption. Yeah, it's not real specific, but I think that's a reasonable assumption, which also coincides with the calls that we receive for our data analysis. The calls that we receive also are within that time frame, and that's why we have the patrols designated during those times.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? John, did you have something? So we'll move on from that discussion and into the window tinting discussion. I've seen the samples and I've seen everything, but I am not for window tinting at all. At this time, I think it's maybe something we should put in the budget and then back to the line of other priorities that we have. I think it's only $1,800, but we had kids chased at the park. We need park lighting. If we don't have enough right now, we should be saving for it. I heard it's bright in there and I'm really sorry, but we have workable blinds for now. It's going into winter. I think it's nice, but I think it's a luxury. And I think that there's other things that we need to be working on. That's my take. Council, you'll do what you'll do. Anybody?
I'm in agreement. I don't believe in
So I think that there's value in what they're asking for. There's as much value in looking into blinds that open from the bottom up so that they can adjust that blind and still have natural light in. But they've been functioning since the building was constructed, so I think it's something that we can find money eventually, but it's not something I think that we ought to do now.
I agree.
You agree? Nikki, go ahead.
I think, I agree, but I think we should revisit it. Sorry, we've been moving around and this room is very loud. Something that, as we're going into the fall and winter, I think we could maybe put it off and bring back the discussion of that come spring of next year. Because I think the privacy and it just gives a little extra security too, so that you don't have people coming up and seeing you're in there if they're angry, you know, throwing stuff at the glass or whatever the case may be. It is a little bit of a security issue, but I think we're good waiting until the spring.
I'd like to make a motion, just put it off until budget time.
Could
See if we
could
have
I
the
say
money.
something, just clarifying?
Sure.
I did get a second quote in and it was $1,539. And we do have money in the budget that would cover this under building improvements. I just want to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? So I think the consensus that we're getting is that we would like to wait on this and push it. Can I get a consensus? Somebody make a consensus here, please?
I'm for what we just said. I'm not for it right now, and I'm willing to go with what everybody says. If I can bring it back at a later date, and I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I agree. Yep, I would like to revisit this at a later date.
Nikki?
I can
Okay,
revisit
so
it
the
later. date as well.
consensus is we'll revisit at a later date. Thank you. New business, consideration to extend consideration to extend telecommunication franchise to Jervis Telephone Company and Data Vision. Council? Susie, please.
Once you have it.
Was that, did you want to speak, Susie, about that telephone?
Sure.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
as I stated in the memo, our telephone franchise with Jervis Telephone is expired. It actually expired in May of 2021. I was alerted to it from Renee. I gave it to the city attorney to help renew it. I was then notified by the city attorney in August. That's the information I shared with the council last month, that we would have to go with a third attorney with a rate that's about twice as much as our own attorney. So I met with Renee, and our recommendation is for the council to consider an extension of the franchise through November 1st, 2023, to consider options on renewing the franchise.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, they can confirm.
I think they've been great partners, but.
So this just extends what we have in place rather than creating a new renewal.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay.
It's subject to the terms of the original franchise.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm good with that. We make a recommendation.
Please.
I recommend that the city council extend the telephone franchise to Jervis Telephone and Data Vision to November 1, 2023. This will give staff ample time to look at options and renewing the franchise agreement.
I second that.
Any discussion?
So I'll send a letter to Renee, letting her know that you're extending it to that date.
Okay, so do I need a vote here, Susie?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Okay, so not hearing any more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll move to staff reports. We'll start with City Manager Marsden's.
Okay, thank you. As I stated in my staff report, the street projects are underway. As with most projects, we run into things, we uncover some things that end up costing more money. So far, as of the date of my report, there were some items that need to be addressed, and it's going to cost the city an additional $28,000. They won't be handled in the form of a change order because this is a quantity-based contract. So we're billed on the quantity of whatever material they're having to use. Yesterday, I was notified while they were working on Grove between 6th and 7th. And John might be able, well, he would be able to explain the issue better than I would, but there's an issue with the site, an area in Grove that will result in another $15,000. It's a lot of extra money in changes. I understand that, but I did budget a $50,000 contingency that we'll be able to use to cover these costs.
So Susie, you just said you budgeted 50,000 contingency and you've talked about, so let me see, we're at 33,000. 43? Oh, excuse me. I had asked about the storm drain problem we have that got omitted, and then we found out that they just need something at the end, and I think someone, don't quote me, but I think it was 20,000. Did we find any funds on STC for that? So that while it's open, we can get it fixed?
To use SDC money, it's restricted to certain projects that are identified in your master plan. And I don't know that that project is identified in our master plan.
Could we look?
So,
Or could we
yes,
find funds for that, because it's open right now and these people are gonna be flooded out like every
Yeah.
year. And they're paying for a service they don't have.
yeah. Part of one of these fixes is a storm line that was discovered while they were digging up the street. And so there will be a catch basin. Again, John's got the details. In the area of, I think it's Ivy and Juniper. Is that right, John? Or
Yes,
Ivy and 7th?
Ivy and 7th.
Yeah. So that will be a benefit to that area. But we do have budgeted $19,500 in the storm drain fund. That's the number that we're trying to stay under to address the other project, which will just end up being a separate project from this.
Anybody else? Okay.
Okay.
What do we need to do here, Susie? Can you direct me?
Well, there's nothing. I was just giving you the information.
Okay.
The other thing is LOC came out with some dates. They offer elected officials trainings. So they have more than this, but I listed the ones that are in our area and the dates. There'll be more details on their website. I have been talking to the city administrator of Donald. Pre-COVID, we used to team up and offer ethics training and what we called Government 101 trainings to newly electeds, to staff, to incumbents as a refresher, new information. So he's actually here at the conference and I touched base with him today, but we'll be looking more at that. The trainings were provided by the Oregon Government Ethics Commission and also Mid-Willamette Valley COG. So we've had a change in leadership from the COG, so I'll need to check with them to see if that's a training that they still offer. But Eric from Donald and I would like to start that back up and to provide it to our community as well as neighboring communities. We used to invite other cities in our area and they were well attended. You might have noticed that we have an election box installed out front of City Hall. Public Works just put that in today. Thank you. and Marion County covered the costs and provided the box. So there may be costs that the city has to pay, but we will get reimbursed by Marion County. And that's my report.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions of Susie? Not hearing any, we're gonna move on to the police department. Chief?
There was a lot of discussion last council meeting about ordinance enforcement, so I include kind of a summary of our philosophical approach there for you to review. I verbally talked about it last month and just summarized it in writing for you. We did some research, and in 2021, we followed up on 154 ordinance violation. That includes things like the parked cars that were discussed earlier. Out of those 154, 135 became incident reports. What that means is that there is it's called a CAD report, CAD. It's a small, quick report that maybe the issue was resolved quickly, or like they stopped, issued a warning, and then the car was moved later, so it didn't turn into anything bigger. But out of the 154, 135 of those were incident reports. Those include pictures, a full written report, letters that go out to the residences, and there's a minimum of about an hour's time the officer takes, plus the time to write the letter and mail the letter out. And then we provided some data for you between January 1, 2022 and September 26 is when we pulled the numbers. We followed up on 90 ordinances this year and 66 being incident reports. There are currently 11 open cases, means that we're working with 11 residences to hopefully comply and a citation not be issued. And there are 8 people currently on municipal court probation. That means they've been issued a citation and they're under the jurisdiction of the municipal court for a period of time that the judge decides. Most of those are about 6 months. And then if they comply with during that probationary period, there's no repeat offenses, the case is dismissed. That's all I have.
Any questions of the chief? Not hearing any, let's move on to public works.
Excuse me, I'll start with park lighting. Out of the 4 contractors that I contacted, only one came back with a price, which was one of the contacts the mayor provided. He came back with just for material, a cost of $7,000. His recommendation was not to go with solar because number one, they're not dependable. There's supply issues if you can't get them. So he recommended going with full electrical lights, and that would be basically tying into the existing meter that's at the French Ferry lift station, and they would bore out into the far end of the park, and that's how they would pull power to those light poles. The 7,000 only covered material, poles and lights, did not cover the installation or labor to put it in. So the price is going up.
25,000, wasn't it? Something like that from them, so.
No, he never got back with me.
Oh, okay.
So this was from Portland Electric.
Oh, from
Yeah,
Gray Bone.
yes. So that's the initial price we're looking at. And since last year, we budgeted only $5,000 for park lights. It could be $15,000.
Mhm. Well, that's why
But,
we gotta tighten our purse.
you know,
so.
So that's where we're at with the park lights. As far as the storm drain issue on,
Before we go on, could I ask you about the park lights?
sure,
How many lights is there?
that would be 1, 2, 5 to 6 lights.
5 to 6
Yeah.
lights.
It would be basically 1 on the restroom building, 1 on the east end of the pavilion building, and then 3 to 4 out towards the playground, the bridge.
And how many do we have now?
Right now, there's only an underground light, or I'm sorry, an under the roof light in the pavilion. And then there's a couple little outdoor lights on the restrooms that are just dusted on, but they're not very dependable, and they're so low they get vandalized.
And everything else is straight.
You know, and just the street lights that are on East or on Hemlock. So it's gonna go up.
I'll forward that other one from SNS. I thought you received a copy.
No, I never got a copy.
I'll
Yeah.
make sure that.
So-
probably be next Tuesday.
Okay, that's fine. And then the storm drain project that was on between 6th and 7th, we got 3 bids for that, starting out at $24,000 to $41,000. Okay. The last high bid was from Kodiak, who had originally bid it when they did the other 3 project bids. So they're high, but the only other one, the mid one, which was $28,000. And so we only have 19,000 budgeted for storm drain.
So how much did you say again? And we're short?
28,000.
Well,
Go ahead, John.
now, that is laying new pipe and everything, because I talked to some of those guys, I walked down through there every once in a while, and they explained to me that there is already pipe down that goes down.
Now, this is the open ditch that runs east and west between 6th and half
Oh,
of 7th,
okay.
okay? That was the storm drain project that some of the residents said they had flooding,
Right,
okay? To put that in, that would be a catch basin on each end, plus pipe, plus tying the storm drain that comes from the homes on each side of that unimproved part of Juniper.
so correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not good. But it was, I understand Cindy, right, that they were putting in a storm drain
They
there on
did.
7th.
On 7th and Ivy,
Right,
when they excavated that, they found another 8-inch storm drain line. And then the county also required another catch basin clean out box to be put in. So if they had to clean that line that runs that open ditch and then goes into our storm drain, they have access to it. That's what increased that price of that.
right. So what I'm trying to figure out is the storm drain itself will be going in north of Ivy, right?
Yes,
Correct? Okay,
that's
so-
the
So where
project.
the new street's going through.
No, no, not the new street. This is the unimproved part of Juniper. That's an open ditch.
Right, I
There is-
understand that, but
yeah.
is there not a pipe that runs on 7th, from 7th Street to where they, they stop their paving? Is there not a pipe that runs down to the street from there?
No, it runs to the south. Where they,
Right,
yeah.
that's what I mean, where they stop their paving. So what will be there at the end where their paving stops? Is there gonna be a catch basin there that runs it down to the?
No, because the pipe's already there, they just tied it, they had basically, when they were excavating, they found that pipe that nobody knew was there, so they reinstalled that with new pipe to connect both of them. And that storm drain kind of goes north on 7th, but there's no catch basin down there that really takes the water from the very edge of the city and sends it to the south. So they basically replaced what got damaged when they excavated.
Right.
Okay, the new catch basins went in on 7th and Ivy,
Yeah.
and that's
So
where
down
the
by
ADA ramps are. And so they had to put catch basins in there and widen the approach and then put a clean out catch basin that the county required. So they could clean the line if they had.
Yeah, and I understand you clean the line, but I don't understand how the water gets from where they stop the blacktop there.
At Ivy and 7th,
Well, no, it's where the new street we're putting in comes across. from
Right.
8th to 7th. Over there on 7th, that's where they end up stopping their stuff. What takes the water from there to the street?
just whatever storm pipe is north of that.
But there's no catch basin. there.
No, there's no catch basin. And that's an issue with our storm system because the improvements have been made, I won't say hodgepodge, but in pieces and different size pipe so that nobody knows what's in the ground. For example, when they were doing the work in 7th and Ivy, they thought it was an 18-inch pipeline. Well, when they excavated, it was a 15-inch pipeline and they took two 18-inch pieces and just shoved them together. So it was like, oh, we can't do that. So we're now back to 15-inch, so that's what's kind of drove the cost up on some of this stuff is because nobody knows what's in the ground. But they'll finish, they're starting to pave tomorrow. They'll finish 7th on Ivy. They're gonna pave Grove between 6th and 7th. And that was another issue that came up. That section of the street was only supposed to have 1.5 inch grind and then an overlay. Well, they started to grind and there was only 1 inch of asphalt. So they were back to dirt. So they had to grind the whole street, lower storm drain, manhole, and then they're gonna have to pay the whole street. So that's the increased cost there.
So I guess my question is, so to put a catch basin in where I was talking about,
Mhm.
and even over on, Sixth Street, where the.
Where they
Some of
pay.
the complaints are coming from about the flooding. and stuff. What ballpark figure for to put a catch basin in? I mean, the pipe's there.
It could be,
Like, I tell you what, you don't even have to
Yeah.
answer me right now. Come back to me and let me know.
the,
I just like.
yeah,
to-
right, but
That's all.
it could be lifted at $5,000-6,000, let's say.
Oh.
But the problem is with a lot of our drain lines is there's not a lot of fall. So you can put a catch basin in, but the water's not gonna go anywhere because the pipes are almost flat. So unless you get
So you're talking about grade.
yes, the grade is not there. Our storm system is very shallow in a lot of places in the city. So it drains, but it doesn't drain quickly. So one day it's flooded, next day it's gone. Because the water's going, but it's just going at a slower rate. Because either the pipes are small and there's no grade, they're pretty much flat. So that's the big issue. And just because you can't just put a catch basin in to collect the water, it'll collect it, but if it doesn't flow quickly, it'll just fill up and continue to flood. So you spend an exorbitant amount of money and not really have a quick fix.
Would excavation or buildup be a big issue on something like that? How long an area are we talking about?
It depends what part of the city you go to. You take the older parts of the city, first, second, fifth, sixth. We have improvements made, but there are some areas where there aren't any catch basins. Back in the day, the city put in French drains. We basically dug a hole through rock in it, and put a grate over it. And hope it'll they function, but they don't function quickly. So you'll get standing water and then when the rain goes away, ground takes it. So it's a lot of money to try and piecemeal a lot of things. So we're at the point where when we make these improvements, we're finding things that aren't up to code, aren't right. So when the contractor goes in there, he's gonna make it right, but it's gonna cost more money.
The quantity.
Yes, and the quantity thing. So, it's another, about $15,000 just for asphalt. $81 a ton. You're pouring so much square foot, the price goes up. So, and Kodiak has been really good about watching the cost and sometimes not charging us for what they probably another contractor might charge. So they've been really, really good as far as the city's concerned. And then next week, I think it's Monday or Tuesday, the Ballards go in on 8th Street and Ivy. We'll close that off. They're gonna do a grind of strip, they'll grind it, it look kind of like gravel, and then the Ballards will be set, so 8th Street will be closed. Starting, the Ballards are metal posts. And
They're gonna be permanent?
they're permanent, but the one in the middle will be removable, it'll be locked for fire.
Right.
Yeah, the other ones will be permanent.
And also, are you gonna install no parking signs down there so that people can't park in front of the fire department? You can't block a fire lane.
I know, but
You gotta do something with that because you know what's gonna happen. Those people on the end are gonna
I
start
understand
parking
that.
right in front of that gate that you put there.
But if I put up signs that are not enforced, then, I can show you a neighborhood right there on my way home that's in Woodburn that they have the metal gates with the no parking signs, fire lane only, and people park right in front of them.
Okay, here's what I'll propose to you. Somebody down that street's having a heart attack and the EMs can't get down in there because somebody's blocking that street, then who's gonna be responsible? Not me, because I'm telling you right now, that needs to be, have
Okay,
signs put up.
I'll put no parking signs up.
Well, no, if the council says don't do it, that's fine with me, but I don't see how you can block a fire lane. How can you block a fire lane?
I
There's no
understand
way.
that. I
You get
understand
tickets
that.
for people that park down in the housing area that we're having a problem with now, the parking the
I
fire lane
understand
over
that.
there.
And I can go to areas where we put no parking signs up on cul-de-sacs and they still park there.
I
So
don't think
what I'm
that,
getting at is, I'll put the signs up. I have no problem doing that.
hey, if I don't want to do anything if it's not illegal. That's what we gotta do here. That's what the
If
council has to
you
make
guys
a
direct,
decision
if
on.
you direct me to put signs up, I'll put the signs up. But when somebody's parked there because They park there.
then that becomes a chief's problem.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
They can write a ticket down there, they can write a ticket over there.
So, I'll do that. I'll do that. And on the last note, starting Tuesday, they're moving on to the school project on Douglas. So from 1st to 3rd, on the south side of Douglas will be no parking because of all reconstruction. And then eventually when the project's done, there'll be no school parking, probably halfway down between 3rd and schools on the south side, because that will be bike lane, curbing the sidewalk. And that's all I have.
Any questions for John?
Mayor, I
Not
have a
here.
question. Mayor,
Oh, go ahead.
thank you, sorry. John, one of the things that I noticed you didn't let us know, or maybe you don't know, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Do we have a cost estimate on the installation for the poles and the fixtures?
No, he had
For the
not come back with a labor cost yet. But I'm figuring the way prices are nowadays, you could double the price.
Okay. So can we maybe expect to know that next month?
Yes,
Or, okay, perfect. Thank you, John.
you're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, business for mayor and council. On Saturday, the 15th of October, we have been invited to the Hubbard Harvest Festival in I don't know how to say it, Berendez Park by Hubbard community team. One of our own is Isrador Reyes will be playing his Latino music from 2 to 5 p.m. Other cities like Estacada, Wilsonville, Woodburn, Tualatin, there's quite a bit going on out there. It's kind of flattering that if you'd like to be in their drive-through, anybody that wants to come, they're gonna have raffles. It's gonna be a nice event for families. It's just a few miles up the road, and I like partnering with Charles out there in Rocky Sherwood. So anyway, Saturday, October 15th. Come on, come all. It'll be fun. And then I am not wanting to big deal, but we're gonna do a Christmas drive-through this year. And I'll be talking to the school to see about dates that they might have something going on or other things in town. Staging area, I would need to talk if we can do it from the high school, but if not, I'll talk to Father over there. There's another part of our community, their school, that we could maybe stage it from there. But Chief, maybe dates that you could escort us the way you do the high school or something. It's just gonna be very informal, not a parade, just a drive-through.
Is this a city parade or?
Just a drive-through, a Christmas drive-through like we did last year, not a parade. Kind of like the school does without all the red tape and costs and everything like that. We did one last year, Mickey and I did with Rocky. And we just want to do a drive-through this year.
Just keep us informed when it is.
Okay, and maybe we can share a flyer or something down the road
Sure.
on your website. See about it.
Can I say one more thing real quick
Yeah,
in regards to speed bumps?
sure.
The speed bumps that were put in on Black Walnut, the reason those were put in there is the time before they consolidated the school, that was a bus route. And so those speed bumps were installed there for the school bus to slow people down as the kids were getting on and off the bus. So that's why they're there. It wasn't because a resident wanted speed bumps. And talk to the fire department, when you go to, in most cities, when you go through their neighborhood streets, you don't see speed bumps on those streets. And fire departments hate them because it slows the fire trucks down. So just to clarify, that's why those speed bumps were put in there originally. And then they changed the bus routes and the buses don't really go down there anymore, but the speed bumps go out.
I'll take you for that information.
Just then let
And
you know.
FYI, thank you. Okay, let's see, that's all I have. Anybody else? Mickey, you have something?
Sorry about that. Two things. One, are you needing help with that drive-through again this year? Because I'd be more than
Sure.
willing to help. Okay.
Everybody's welcome.
Awesome. And then I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Maria Paniagua, Laura Clifton, and Brian Wagner for all successfully going through and completing the CERT training that we had a few weeks ago. And also to Laura and Brian, who did an amazing job volunteering during the Woodburn Fire District Open House. It's great to have them on the CERT team. And from what I hear, Laura, you have a lot of great ideas and want to join firefighter rehab, and I look forward to you being on the team. So thank you.
Anybody else? Good job, Laura and Maria and all that. Congratulations. Anybody? Okay, that being said, the time is 8:48. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Sure.